Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. This is going to be one of the longest videos I think I've ever done. Of course, we have Harry making a fool of himself on the podcast. Of course, we have what went on with the ball game with all the accompanying video. You're just not going to believe it. But of course, we have the royal family news, and we have the news that I broke last night live about what happened to Andrew and the fact that he has lost his prince title along with everything else. So there's a lot in here. So let's just jump in and cover it because I just can't believe I managed to get all of this into one video. Let's jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. To start off with, I want to say a big thank you to Lexi. She sent me this package. What she does is she makes art out of seashells, and she made me my initials. Isn't that absolutely fabulous? As well as what I think is a bookmark, which I will absolutely be using. Thank you so much. And also thank you to the subscriber that sent me this adorable card. All right, let's move on. We're going to start with Prince William. The inauguration of Earthshot Boulevard in downtown Rio de Janeiro started already. It marks the beginning of the events leading up to the Earthshot Prize Award Night 2025, which is being held November 5th at the Museum of Tomorrow. Led by the 1111 Foundation in partnership with the Earthshot Prize, the world's most prestigious and impactful environmental award. This boulevard will transform the stretch from the Museum of Tomorrow to Pier 3, which is the site of the Earthshot Summit in the heart of Rio. Isn't that just fabulous? I love those. Now, some articles have come out saying that the Brazilian chef Saulo Jennings withdrew from catering Prince William's Earthshot Prize ceremony because there was a disagreement over the event's required vegan-only menu. He said it was a lack of respect for Amazonian cultural heritage. The chef compared the restriction to, quote, asking Iron Maiden to play jazz. Again, a lack of respect for local cuisine. He says, I got nothing against vegans or British people, but I don't want to abandon my culinary mission. But it has since come out that is not what's going on. Apparently, his withdrawal was linked to budget constraints rather than a disagreement about the food policy. Earthshot Prize got quotes from a lot of local chefs, and this guy's proposal exceeded the event's catering budget. He wasn't worried about the vegan thing because he expressed willingness to include vegan dishes. He was just too expensive. That's what's really going on. Now, as far as Catherine, it's being said that the reason she's staying behind this time is because she has to oversee the family move to their new home, not to mention the fact that the kids are in school. You know that she's a very hands-on mother, so this is not a snub to the Earthshot Prize. It's nothing like that. It's the point of the children need her, and that's the kind of mother that she is. All right, let's move on. Next up, we have the Duke of Gloucester, who held a tea at Windsor Castle on October 15th to commemorate the 35th anniversary of Canine Partners for Independence. He's their patron. King Charles is next, and he was busy. He met the Mauritius High Commissioner, the Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner, and Germany's ambassador to the United Kingdom, all at Buckingham Palace. Ooh, is that man busy? Now, sticking with King Charles, he and Queen Camilla were presented with some gorgeous flower garlands as they celebrated the 30th anniversary of a landmark Hindu temple with its devotees yesterday. They wished worshippers a belated Happy Diwali, which is the Hindu festival of lights. It's celebrated on October 20th. They went on a tour. They observed spiritual ceremonies. Let me see if I can pronounce this. At BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir. You guys might recognize it. It's also known as the Nasdin Temple. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Now, priests dressed in flowing orange robes placed garlands of roses and carnations around their necks, and sacred threads called Nanda Chatti were tied around their wrists to show that their bond remains ever sweet. That's what the priest said. They watched the children perform a Vedic prayer for world peace. Then on their visit next, they met architects and viewed a model of the temple, which is currently under construction and due to be completed in September of 2026. This temple is the first one in France. It's being built in Paris. Now, this temple is Europe's first traditional Hindu stone temple and was the largest to be built outside India at the time that it was completed. It stretches 102,018 square feet. It's covered in ornately carved stone and built using classic Vedic architectural principles. So no, there's no steel. And the ceilings and pillars are decorated with figures reflecting the devotion and craftsmanship. Fabulous. Next up, we have the Princess Royal. She attended the Transaid 2025 showcase at Eversheds, Sutherland. Princess, cool. She was there to look at the GXO tool station and stand with partners that are transforming lives through transport. Now, of course, she gave a speech and then she was seen leaving with some, what looks like a beautiful basket of something in her hand. I believe it's flowers, but she always seems to leave with the most interesting gifts. And she was seen leaving, getting into her car at the end of the event. All right, let's move on. Sticking with Princess Anne, she was seen last week with her husband. She attended the Trafalgar Night dinner at the Painted Hall at the Old Royal Navy College. The dinner marked the 220th anniversary of the Battle of Trafalgar. Let's move on to Prince Andrew. This part will be quick for once. Apparently, his registration plates, which end in DOI, Duke of York, have been removed. They are no longer registered at all. So he's just taken them off, which I think is the smart thing to do. He's never going to use that title again. So, yeah. All right, next up, some articles came out that basically said that the general public has supreme indifference to all of this drama. In other words, they're not outraged. There's no sympathy. They simply have bigger things to worry about. All right, next up, Princess Eugenie apparently decided to get away from all the drama by jetting off to Paris with her friends for a girls' trip. And it's coming out, as I told you when the article broke, that Prince William did not threaten them to remove their titles. That's a bunch of lies. No, what has happened is the MPs have gotten together and they want demands. They've issued demands about what's going on with Royal Lodge and the rent. Now, there are things in here, in this email, I guess you would call it. The chairman of the committee pointed out reduced or foregone income, including from the Royal Lodge, would be at a cost to taxpayers. And they have other questions. Did he pay the £1 million for the lease? Has he kept up the repairs as the lease demands? Has the Crown Estate done any work for him? If the Crown Estate did do repairs, did he reimburse them? Are there any terms preventing the prince from transferring the lease to anyone else except his two daughters? If Andrew terminates the lease, if he were asked to, would he be entitled to the £560,000 in compensation? And the letter ends by saying, quote, there is considerable and understandable public interest in the spending of money in relation to Prince Andrew, which in part stems from the fact that he's no longer a working royal and from serious and disturbing allegations made against him. Wow. They're saying that they want to reply to this at the earliest possible date, with the deadline being November 28th. And as far as Sarah goes, I told you guys before, she sold that property that she had, but she sold it at a loss. She lost money on the property, and the money wasn't hers. It was Beatrice's and Eugenie's, and she had to give them back their money. Well, in the end, it doesn't matter, because then the breaking news happened saying that Prince Andrew was being formally stripped of his royal styles, his titles, and honors, and was moving out of Royal Lodge. He will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and he's going to relocate to the private property on the Sandringham estate, and the name change came with immediate effect. They went on to say that the censures were deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that Andrew continues to deny the allegations against him, and the King and Queen want to make it clear their thoughts and sympathies have been and will always remain with the victims and survivors of any kind of abuse. Personally, I don't think that the King enjoyed being heckled the other day when he was out and about. It is understood the king had hoped not to take formal action as he was concerned it would be a waste of parliamentary time, but it was deemed that further action was necessary, so the king sent the royal warrants to the Lord Chancellor to secure the removal of the Dukedom of York from the peerage rolls and the title of prince and the style of His Royal Highness. Now, he's also known as the Baron of Kikil, that is also gone. The Earl of Inverness, that is also gone. His Royal Highness is gone. His Order of the Garter is gone, as is the Knight Grand Cross of the Victorian Order. He did initiate the process in consultation with the government, and Andrew, it's saying, has not objected to it. Now, as the leaseholder of Royal Lodge, he was served notice to surrender and leave, and he's going to go. His new housing arrangements are going to be privately funded by the king, and they're saying Sarah Ferguson is going to have to make her own arrangements. Let's be honest, Sarah is as tainted as he is. She's no longer a member of the family. They're divorced. They've been divorced for 30 years, so she's out. Now, one other thing, the anti-monarchy group is actually looking into a possible private prosecution because they're saying that Andrew isn't being treated the same as everybody else because he's a royal. Well, this ought to be interesting to see how this comes out. I'm going to keep an eye on this whole thing. I'll keep you updated. Let's move on. This next one I had to point out to you guys. Do you guys remember back when Catherine had cancer and she put out that Mother's Day photo and she basically got attacked from all sides because she made some small edits as she is a photographer? You guys remember that? Yeah. Like Meghan's not busy with that. You see Archie's left hand? Let's look at it a little closer. See his pinky? Yeah, Photoshop City. Let's keep going. All right, next up, the puppets are back. Ugh, watch this.
I'm Megan Sussex, and I'm a good person. And I'm meeting another good person today, the wonderful Ariana Grande.
Oh my God, Megan, you're such a good person.
Yes, that's why I'm going to talk to you like you're an idiot. For me, food isn't about eating. It's about spirituality. It's about making yourself vulnerable. Are you vulnerable?
So vulnerable.
That's great. So I'm preparing my guests some soul food that my British husband calls a packet of crisps. Can be a tricky dish to master, especially when a packet is being fucking Oh my God, you've been knocked down by the crisps. So vulnerable. I love it.
I'm just down here holding space.
And now, the finishing touches. A flower.
Oh.
Harry! Get your limey ginger ass down here and clear this up!
All right, let's move on now. Do you guys remember back when the fires happened, this 14-year-old girl named Avery Colvert opened up like a help center, and she put out a call for clothing and beauty projects and more essentials that would, quote, help my friends feel confident and like themselves again. And so Meghan showed up and she made sure that they got a picture of her entering the building with the bags. You guys remember that? Well, she decided to interview the girl. But by interviewing the girl, she essentially took all the attention away from her. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was a little shocked at this next photo. It shows the girl wearing polo Ralph Lauren pants, Sarcoso sneakers, a Roberto coin necklace, Silva and Klee bracelet. Like, this girl is decked out in like thousands of dollars in clothing and jewelry. I thought this was about putting clothing on the backs of girls that needed it, not about dressing them out in couture. Like, what the hell was that? All right, next up, celebrity chef James Stockton has weighed in on Meghan Markle's products, claiming they're a ripoff. Well, we already know that. Charging this kind of money for honey, he said, is utterly disgraceful and shameful. And while it's understandable that you need to make a profit, there's a clear difference between earning a fair margin and exploiting customers. He said, I recommend shopping elsewhere where you can find honey for a fraction of the price without the royal tax. He said the brand is taking advantage of people, and it's unclear where customers are buying her products for their quality or hoping their value will increase over time due to the supposed limited number available. And as far as the alcohol goes, he said those prices she's asking for are like the ones found in high-end restaurants. To justify charging premium prices, when they're white labeled is just ridiculous. He goes, most fine dining establishments earn more from their alcohol sales than from their food. And her pricing in terms of restaurant markups isn't unreasonable. However, in the same price range, you can find wine and champagne from world-renowned wineries and champagne houses. Placing her logo on a bottle doesn't make it premium. I mean, that means you're paying restaurant prices at home. Who wants to do that? By the way, a big thank you to Resting Dollface for this. This is from the TIG. This is where she got the idea to number her candles. This is something she put up. And by the way, the description of the candle said that it smelled like aristocracy. All right, let's move on. All right, let's move on now to Harry. If you can believe this, he gave an interview, an hour-long interview, and I think they kind of made fun of him a little bit. Oh, okay, the guy was a comedian that was interviewing him. Listen to this.
To my core, and it was this quote: each year I receive from Pa an official clothing allowance, but that was strictly for formal wear, suits and ties, ceremonial outfits. For my everyday casual looks, I'd go to TK Maxx, the discount store. I was particularly fond of their once-a-year sale when they'd be flush with items from Gap or J. Crew, items that had just gone out of season or were slightly damaged. Bro, I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I know. You know what? It was hard. It was really hard. TK Maxx it's now a special place. Forms a special place in my memory.
And as I was reading that, I was just like, TK Maxx. But it could have been worse. It could have been Ross, Dress for Less.
Do you guys have TK Maxx here?
It's TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx.
Slightly different, but
He also tries to get Harry to try an American accent, etc., etc. You know what? The guy was making fun of Harry without Harry even realizing it, but there had to have been something else behind this whole thing, because he talked about the children and how they just come in and interrupt, conversations, and they interrupt his Zoom calls, blah, 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 blah. That's what this is. This is to try to make him seem more relatable, and I have to tell you, I think it was a big fat fail. Now, as this interview went on, Harry became increasingly uncomfortable. It was like he didn't know how to take the guy, because the guy that was doing the interview, he has an ability to blend serious and important messages with mocking humor. And Harry can be humorous in his own way, but his moments usually come when he is on top of the joke. He can throw back some one-liners, but it was pretty obvious here that Harry didn't know what was going on. And he's even asked at one point, I told you earlier, to make himself look and sound ridiculous with the American accent scenario. So at that point, Harry genuinely became concerned looking around at the crew, because at one point they were laughing, and he said, "Is that part of being encouraged, or are you mocking me?" All right, here's our big story for today with all the accompanying video. So Harry and Meghan decide to have a quote-unquote date night. And they show up because it's number 4 of the World Series games, right fresh from the podcast. And so they show up, and of course security is all around them, and they're going into the building. Now, to be fair, you guys, does this look like somebody who's worried about their safety and security? Because I'm sorry, I don't think so. They're seen walking through the halls. I have to be honest, Harry just doesn't look very happy. He actually looks bored and defeated. They get into the building. Meghan's waving at nobody, as she usually does. And then you can't help but notice, I've called him this before, Friar Tuck. Now, as part of the videos that Meghan put up, because now she's the Duchess of Sussex, they got to go behind the scenes to see all kinds of things, and they went to a private area to eat their food. Then they were taken down front, where Harry saw Magic Johnson, who I didn't realize was part owner of the Dodgers. I had no idea. In case you don't see it, that's Harry's butt crack sticking out at the people that are across the aisle. Oh my God, I would have gone blind. And a big thank you to that one on Twitter for showing us this video. Of course, Meghan goes around and starts talking and schmoozing with the people that will be sitting behind her, which, by the way, we'll be discussing that in a few minutes as we move into the video. Of course, they put up pictures that James Marsden was there, and Austin Butler and Sydney Sweeney, and Christy Martin. But of course, none of these people were with Harry and Meghan. These are just other people that were there at the ball game. Somebody asked for a picture. I'm sure it was Harry and Meghan. Then they went and they sat down in their seats. And of course, security is standing all around them. I mean, something's really weird going on here. Now, remember, this is right after they put out the pumpkin patch video. And the idea behind this is to show you guys how much in love they are, that they're a family unit, that everything is absolutely fine between them, that none of this is really a problem. Now, as an FYI for you guys, in case you didn't know, Meghan Markle was always a Toronto Blue Jays fan and supporter. She used to put up pictures constantly wearing their baseball cap. But I guess since she's living now in California, she decided to switch to the other team, put on their cap. Maybe they gave her free seats up front. Who knows? But spoiler alert, that's the team that she was supporting was the one that lost. God, she's such bad luck. By the way, that hat, in case you guys don't remember, is the one that she wore to the LA fires when she was running around hugging her assistant on camera. Now, a couple of more FYI things for you. It's being said that Meghan was motivated to go to this game because she has distant family connections to Dodger star Mookie Betts and their life in Los Angeles. Also, just as an FYI, they're saying that this was a rare date night away from their children. Are you kidding me? Don't you think that Archie would have liked to have gone to a baseball game? He's 6, 7 years old. That's the prime age to take him to one of these things. But no, they went with once again without their kids. Remember, it was shown that last year they spent more than 6 months away from the children. So let's just be clear on that. I don't know who wrote that article. And a big thank you to the Lean Mean Machine for finding this email. Remember, Meghan emails her children so they'll know how much they were loved years down the road. So the two of them went on trying to be all loved up and trying to dispel rumors that there was anything going on in their marriage and that everything was hunky-dory. I have to tell you, there were a few clues that things were not as they seem, if that makes sense. Oh, by the way, I also noticed Meghan came in with her hair pulled back in a ponytail, and then at some point she took her hair out of the ponytail and had it splayed over her shoulder and down her back. I don't know what that was about, and I don't really care. Now, I personally believe that they got into the front row because they were looking to be on camera. This is Meghan's thing, and let me explain what I'm talking about. Here's some video that shows Harry and Meghan looking at the camera, both of them, and then looking away to make sure they were in the shot. Here it is in slow motion. Look at Harry. Boom. He sees the camera on him. He looks over and says something to Meghan, who then looks over. Boom. Yep, Harry, we're on camera. Smile, look happy. Now again, as I said, Meghan put out a video on her Instagram showcasing date night. Again, they're supposed to look more relatable. Here's part of what she posted. Few pictures that came out, like this one where, you know, it looked like Harry was ignoring Meghan, or this one where Meghan's like, for the love of God, Harry, hold my hand. And he's like, get off of me. There were a few pictures that made you think, you know, what was going on here. But that was not really the controversy of the night. There was some controversy. Let's get into it. At one point, Harry and Meghan were put up on the kiss cam, and the second people saw them, the booing started. Meghan just kept her rictus grin on. Wait, watch this. The only time Harry smiled was when he saw his face up on the Jumbotron because, you know, that's cool. But in the meantime, yeah, they got booed. Now, why did they get booed? Well, people were really pissed. Dodgers fans were outraged. Harry and Meghan had been given front row VIP seats and were sitting in front of like Sandy Koufax. And the Fox cameras kept showing Harry and Meghan throughout the game. And a lot of Dodgers fans were really, really unhappy. Now, for those of you who don't know who Koufax is, Sandy Koufax is a 4-time World Series winner and Hall of Fame pitcher. So why is that person sitting behind Harry and Meghan? And as you can see from the video and from the pictures, not everybody was happy about the situation. So I got to tell you, all of Harry and Meghan schmoozing when they first sat down, trying to be nice to everybody and speaking to everybody, I don't think that it went over well. I think those people were like, yes, nice to meet you, but I think deep down they were very, very unimpressed. So I have to tell you, in my opinion, she's a jinx, because every time she's around, things go wrong. So she puts on the hat, shows up, and they lose. There you go. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.